on to the next motion to be proposed. It's looking like a green tag team here, because Assembly Member Polanski, could you propose the next motion?
Thank you, Chair. I will be brief. The last couple of years have been devastating for so many Londoners, and it has absolutely exposed the complete failure of our current economic system, whether it is the loss of the universal credit uplift or the unevenness of the furlough scheme. What is happening right now is not working. The time for universal basic income is here, and we've already agreed that in this chamber. And the Mayor's own research shows that 130,000 Londoners could be lifted out of poverty by this scheme. Now, I know people have opposed a universal basic income in the past with all sorts of arguments, but I would just say this very clearly. Poverty is not a lack of character, it's a lack of cash. And we know that lack of cash can cause deprivation, it can cause unemployment, it can cause violence, it can get people caught in all different spirals. And what universal basic income can do is lift everyone out of poverty and not leave anyone high and dry. Now, what this motion specifically does is look at a community-based fund. Because we don't think anyone should have universal basic income thrust upon them, that has to be a conversation. But that conversation should be community-led, and we're here to have that conversation. So please do support this motion that empowers communities to be able to make those decisions for themselves and brings a universal basic income that can make London an even more forward-thinking city and make sure we give everyone the support and security they deserve. Thank you.
In terms of universal basic income, no. No. We cannot have an open-ended commitment on a pilot scheme, quite frankly, at this moment in time, of where we promote it as a regional authority, or even our colleagues in local government. It's up to them if they want to put themselves forward. We think this is a national project. This is where you need a change in national government to promote these issues. I'm not opposed to having a conversation and a debate about this, but it's about how do we go forward on it at this particular time, and I'm not sure if this is a good way forward in terms of that. Still wish to continue the conversation, would like to see someone do it. I don't think our colleagues in local government should pick it up, and I don't think our colleagues in region. It needs national government to come to play with this because of the implications. You cannot have little autonomous fiefdoms that decide they're going to go it alone and you think it's going to be all right. Life doesn't work like that and should not work like that, but we do need to understand it more. In terms of the final one, on the toilets and pedestrians.
Polanski, to sum up the motion on universal basic income.
Thank you, Chair. I have to say I'm amazed at the representative from the Labour group. I would have thought that this was somewhere where actually we could get consensus. And I have to wonder, is this going to be one of these things that Greens campaign on for years, as we have been doing, with other parties, and eventually Labour come round to it and then say, oh, we made this happen all along. This is the time we need to make this happen. We're in a crisis. I agree with you. We need it nationally, but we are not MPs. We are not in charge of the government. This is the London Assembly, and we have a Labour mayor. So this is an opportunity to get that done. And how do you think clinical trials work if they're not testing to find a remedy? And the remedy here is for poverty. And actually, Martin Luther King said we can eradicate poverty with a universal basic income. But we don't need to look at such lofty figures. We could look over to Wales. Mark Drakeford, Labour. He is trialling a universal basic income. So the attitude towards it, the no, seems very strange. But weirdest of all is how out of step it is with Londoners. YouGov just did a poll this week that showed 50% of Londoners support a universal basic income with only 22% opposed. So yes, let's have that conversation, but let's have it with a pilot where we can actually get results and data and include people and have that conversation. And finally, you say that this is little autonomous fiefdoms. Well, you use that phrase, but I would say this is community empowerment, so let's have more of it, not less.
The third motion which members are voting on is the motion in the name of Assembly Member Polanski, and that relates to universal basic income. Please can I see votes in favour? That is 1, 2, 3, 4 votes in favour, Chair. And please can I see votes against? That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. That is 19 votes against, Chair, and that motion falls.